Welcome, Ageless Warriors. I am Benedick Howard, your longevity architect, and this is our first strategic briefing. To our founding members, thank you. And let's see, where did that thing pop up over my... You are the rebels who chose vitality over mediocrity. And you're here because you know that the slow decline of society accepts as normal aging is a frigging fallacy, man. Yeah, I just finished up my Ashtanga yoga practice an hour ago. And I'm 74 years old, going to be 75. And on my 75th birthday, I plan to launch my book, High Attitude Hiking the Hawaiian Manas. And so more on that later on. So every week, I'm going to gather with you to decode the science, and especially the scientisms, and refine the protocols that keep your cellular batteries charged and your legacy intact. If you've been to my website, benedickhoward.com, you know, I make this 30 million volts per meter claim, and it's very true, verifiable, it's scientifically accepted too. And actually, it was that discovery that I made back in 2008 that has led me to this journey with you here today. So we're here to master this voltage consideration, harmonize with vibrations, and forge resilience or consciousness. And today we just deconstruct the static fallacy, which is like we're, you know, dead at such and such age, and that we move into the Warriors Q, and then we'll move into the Warriors Q&A session. So bring me your toughest questions. No corporate health bullshit. Just 4 decades of real-world research and development, ex-development engineer, blah, blah. Yeah, go to my site, benedickhoward.com/about. So let's build and let's build. So the first segment, let's get to the slides. Let's first talk about the Dr. Katie and her milk discovery. I'm going to use this as, and let's see if I can share the screen. I think I have it loaded up. If not, I can pull it up quite quickly. See how I can share the screen and share you this article that I just launched a couple of days ago. And update, share widgets. That's very strange. Oh, share screen's up here on the desktop. Okay, where's the bit of it? Yeah, here we go. Share the screen. Let's see if it pops up over the... It should coming over. View tab. There we go. And in this article, Katie made the very interesting discovery that the milk of the mother milk of, I think she was working with monkeys, the mother milk adapts according to whether the baby is a male or a female and according to its nutritional needs. And so in this magic of this relationships that we have, the relationships that we have towards, you know, being able to, in the case of this mom, being able to change the milk composition to match the needs of the baby. And and it's kind of like science had always poo-pooed this, and she went out on a whim, and so read the article. And longevity was never static. And you know, this discovery was like poo-pooed and everything else, blah, blah, blah. You know how that goes. And then it went viral. And here it is, the microbial colonizations of the newborn's gut, and how that's influenced by these different, well, in this case, mother's milk. And so what has this got to do with longevity? Longevity is not achieved by copying protocols built on averages. And I think that's what we really, really need to look at. And I call the averages here are basically the pharmaceutical, medical, standardized approach. And Just as your nervous system isn't static or your metabolism isn't fixed, and I'm in day 1 of a 3 or 4 day fast right now, water fast and coffee. And your immune system, if it actually exists, and we're going to be looking at a lot of this stuff, is not waiting for a supplement stack. So let's stop. So I want to keep, this whole thing is that, there's this intelligence and this conversation between, in this case, the mother-child, or anywhere in nature. We are interconnected with all of these vibrations, all of these minute microcurrent electrical forces, like in the earth, as in earthing, and as in electrical stim work, which I do with the scanner. And so let me see if I'm on time here. Yeah, we're good. And I just tried to keep this thing nice and short. So, the slides I have now are really about taking this to the next place. And here we go. Let's see if this one loads up okay. Yeah, so welcome again to the Ageless Warrior Alliance. And so, as the founding members, we're choosing vitality over mediocrity and action over excuses. And today marks the beginning of your journey from corporate burnout to cosmic clarity. And let's see if I got this correct. Yeah, so let's look at these 3 pillars of architecting longevity. This is, setting up a foundation to understanding where I'm going to be going with this over the next weeks and months ahead. So, number 1 is this voltage consideration that nobody else is considering. And I've been working with voltage and electrotherapy for like 20 years or more now. And I studied to the master's level back in 2004, I think it was, in London. And and then had private practice, and then did a lot of coaching, and then developed different protocols and really dove deep with this. And I'll be releasing later on a 2-year study I did with clients. I call the eBody Fusion T archives. There are basically 500 pages of results that I've now summarized into a blog post that I will be posting later on. But that was all achieved with Dave and all of these other people in there. He was bedridden for 10 years, a sports athlete, and we got him back out of bed, functioning in the house, and later on jogging even. So he'd been 10 years with major chronic fatigue. And so I've learned a lot about that. But prior to that, I was working with sound and sacred geometry, as in sound healing environments. And with my background as a development engineer, that background, and later on working for General Electric, as my background was hugely into vibration, basically in terms of like making mechanical parts that could sustain a lot of vibration without breaking apart. And then I get to work with the body now, and what more amazing tool. And so it's the vibration we use to harmonize the body's systems, in this case through targeted sound healing and energetic coherence. And we'll get more into that because it goes really deep past the quantum into the ether fields. And I want to bridge the gap between the current quantum approach, which I call is kind of cut off at a certain level, and the approach that we'll be taking in the course of these lectures, into bringing more of the virtual, let's call it spiritual, connection from the forces of nature and forces that are inside and outside of us. And then that leads to, the third component, which is literally is around the resilience, and the resilience in your consciousness. So actually, similarly, they could change one another out. So it's forging that cellular and mental strength through that intelligent stress. And for me, it's been the challenge of the hiking up Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea over there, hundreds of times in all sorts of weather conditions, from tank tops to crampons, in snow and blizzards. And so this leads us to the next thing, which, we've discussed in Katie's article, is that nothing is static. And if we think that, it's going to be vitamin C that's going to kill me of everything, or if it's a certain spiritual practice, or if it's, just the normal way that we run our life, that static is a fallacy. We have to keep in a moving state, exercise. For me, the fasting, and I hope for you too. Actually, that's my number one goal, is to get a whole bunch of you fasting. And we'll get into the deep science of fasting, which has exploded in the last 15 years, basically. And if you're part of the Ageless Warriors Alliance, there's, 120 shorts of videos that I've collected into that archive, and that you can view on experts talking about fasting and what it does for you. So, this conventional wisdom treats aging as a slow, inevitable decay. But, Katie's article, that Milk Discovery, reveals that the biological systems are dynamic, intelligent, and constantly adapting. And that's what we need, is that adaptivity. And with the fasting, the mental clarity is so attuned, you've got a way better chance of, making the right decisions, helping other people in those decisions too. So let's look for a moment around this 30 million volt secret. It's your cellular power plant. And the origin of this energy is not just from food. And this is where there is this huge disconnect with, mainstream doctors. They don't yet understand what this 30 million volts, managed to show up in our cell membranes or in our mitochondria membranes. And what that does in terms of an electrical engineering or bioelectrical engineering perspective is what that does to the cells, what that does to the mitochondria, what that does to our whole consciousness and way of being. And so let's emphasize this, is that low mitochondrial voltage. That's the root cause of fatigue, brain fog, slow decline of aging, and all of the chronic fatigue type stuff that's going on, all of the inflammations. So, when we target the cells, say with electrotherapy, it could be sunlight, it could be grounding, it could be swimming in the ocean, or it could be just having a great time. When you target electrotherapy as a static and strategic fasting, we're combining these tools to really accelerate recharging the body's system. And that's how Dave, who had been bedridden for 10 years with chronic fatigue, massive, he was like in so much pain, you couldn't touch him. I got him to a place where you could touch him, he could get massage, he was out and about, and eventually he was out and about running again, and or jogging up and down the hills in Arizona. And so we'll share more of that, of him and many others, airline doctors, gold medalists, thought coaches, etc. Got a lot to share. And so when your cellular batteries are fully charged, your body's innate healing capacity is brought back online. So one of the things I do is like this executive longevity fast. And when you get the membership at the AWA, the Ageless Warriors Alliance, you'll get a one-pager that I distill down what you really need to do to get going with fasting. And yeah, that diagram on there is like, this complicated picture of all of the different things that allegedly are going on in there. But basically, it's this 16-8 foundation, or 24 or 20:4 foundation of having like 16 hours of fasting and an 8-hour eating window, or of a 20-hour of fasting and a 4-hour eating window. And so what this does is that it triggers that autophagy, which is the ability of the body to, in the fasted state, to get rid of the stuff, the junk that needs to get out of there. All of the stuff that's what's normally called, well, they are viruses, but that's another fallacy. Go to my website. I did a podcast at my Fallacy and Idiocracy podcast on Substack. But we talk about this, and we have proof from 240 plus major institutions showing that they have never isolated any virus that caused any infection, etc. Long story short, blah, blah, we'll get to it. But that gets complicated. The real essence is doing this fasting so that you get the mental clarity, you get the clarity window score, on a track on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you? And I'm feeling really clear at the moment because I'm probably 20 hours into the fast so far. So what in the questions and answers section, which we won't have time for, maybe if people want to, if there's anybody on the call that would like to pose a question, go ahead. But my goal here is to give you, straight answers on fasting protocols, mitochondrial optimization, and different consciousness practices. Breathing. And with over 4 decades of invention, hands-on mastery in a lot of these different areas of health. And in one source that wasn't trained by the medical system, that always had the way of analyzing systems and really breaking through in terms of like how those systems were functioning or not, and et cetera, et cetera. So these are battle-tested protocols that have reversed chronic illness, like cancer, and optimized performance. Like some of the best hikes I have up there are when I'm in the fasted state. And so it's no corporate health bullshit. This is about real-world results that speak louder than any certificate. And, I'm not a certificate type of guy. I don't need to go there and be under somebody else's umbrella. So why does this matter? Well, simply because it's like, what time have we got? Better check in. Yeah. Your questions sharpen our protocols and light the path for others in the alliance. The breakthrough happens when ancient wisdom meets modern strategy. And ancient wisdom in terms of like fasting has been around for millennia. And then this is the most valuable part of our time together, the direct access to me, longevity architect, and strategies that most health coaches, certified health coaches, have never heard of. Actually, most, I would say 99% of them. And so I've always been at the front of this sort of development and research phase. So architecting your specific blueprint. Now, obviously, I've given this a lot of thought over the decades. And, in the last 2 months that I've been setting all of this up for you guys, I've probably spent 300 or 400 hours, 200 or 300 hours setting all of this up. And So what I can do for you, should you choose, and go book it now, it's $250 an hour. It's not cheap, but it will give you the map to your personal GPS towards health. So it's a personalized strategy session tailored to your specific goals, your challenges and biomarkers, to cut through the noise and design a protocol unique to your terrain and accelerate your results exponentially. I also have fasting retreats that you can find out more about on my site. There's a 5-day, and you can upgrade that to even a 30-day, but it's really a very private. There's a cabin at the bottom of my property that has minimal kitchen, and especially if you're into golf, it has a putting green right out in front of it. And so it's really secluded, it's off the grid, and it's somewhere that you can really be yourself, in yourself, and not have any outside noise, and a perfect place to really fast and rejuvenate and write, especially. And so that's here in Hawaii. So if you're interested in that, just reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, and my email. Join, just go on the site and jump in. So we've got this weekly challenge, and I'm going to sort of finishing up with this here. If you can this week, and I'm going to keep you, I hold you accountable. If you can this week, join or start or continue your fasting if you already are, but get into a place where your body can handle just an 8-hour eating window, or if you're already at 8 hours, then less. There's some sort of bullshit negativity about people going into fasting, but really the body is way more powerful than those people would give it credit. And so fasting is an incredible way. Also, if you're women, there's the fasting needs to be done outside of your periods, and there's actually a 3-day fast opening up tomorrow, January the 5th, with Dr. Peltz, I think is her name. I can put the link in the comments underneath. And she's beginning a 3-day, 72-hour fast. It's totally free. And if you're getting into fasting, it would be a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. In fact, let me see if I can. No, I don't have that screen loaded, so that's not going to work. And so here we are. We got Daryl on the line. He's actually muted. I think I've gone through most of these notes that I wanted to talk about. Let's see if there's anything in the chat. Yeah, if you've got a question, jump in there. And if not, I'm going to, finish it out. We've been going 24 minutes, so I want to do these calls in less than half an hour. And so let me just finish up with the exec script. And yeah, Daryl, let me see. I don't have it handy right now. It would take me a while to go to I'll put it. Are you on Facebook or LinkedIn? Or if you're on my email list, I will be sending it out shortly after this on my email list. Go to benedickhoward.com and jump in there and just sign up for the free chapter to my first book, and I'll be sending them out from there. Yeah, that's a great chapter, my first free chapter, which is actually a lucid dream. I've been a lucid dreamer. And so let's see if I can get back to just finishing this out with you guys and not holding and keeping to my Here we go. So here we go. Let's close that out. And if I can, hide for everyone. Okay. Let's close. I guess let's just stay on that one. I'm not too sure what's going on here yet. But anyway, so let's wrap it up. And remember that longevity is a dynamic process. It's not a static one. And the more that you can exercise, the more you can, extend the fasting windows, the better it is. And if you're not exercising, there's nothing beats it, literally. So to the journey, the journey to ageless vitality is built on consistent strategic action. Small, powerful choices compound exponentially over time. And I've been posting every month my Ashtanga yoga practice, which I got back into about 1.5 years ago. And you can see on that, and that's on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Benedick Howard. And you can see how I've been able to keep going with that, even at 74. So here it is. For this week's challenge is, get yourself into some fasting and keep up the good work with the exercise too. So many, many mahalos. Much love from Hawaii. Looking forward to seeing you next week. And I'm in my car right now. I have internet access issues, so I knew I could get a good signal right here. You're welcome, Daryl, and God bless, man. Thanks for showing up. Stop sharing. Stop recording. Stop